The Village of Upper Town Budget Workshop for the 2024-2025 fiscal year is called to order at 6:34 p.m. 33 p.m. Let's have a moment of silent meditation followed by Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. May I have a roll call, please, ma'am?
Roll call, Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Perella.
Here.
Councilperson Erbom.
Present.
Lightfoot Ward is not here, and Councilperson Martin will not be in today. Also present for the record, Janice Jacoby, Village Clerk, Christia Alou, Village Manager. You have a
Thank you very
quorum.
much. Appreciate it. Approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Erbon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Perella. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing none. Good and welfare. This is the time when residents can come and talk about anything on the budget, but I go page by page, and you'll be able to come up and say ask questions and stuff during the process. So you'll have that chance also. So don't worry about that. Moving on to the agenda items, we're going straight into the budget. All right, so this is the budget, you guys. Everybody has it, pull it out. We're gonna go page by page, and I'm just gonna ask, like I always do, as we get to the page, are there any questions or comments for that particular page? Okay. So we're gonna open it, we're gonna turn, we see the first page, the table of contents, we see the second page, the elected officials, the appointed officials, department heads. We see the next page, this is a summary. The summary is just the summary. Are there any questions or comments about the summary page? More of the information that you're going to be looking for comes in the breakdown of the actual pages in the department. Mr. Winters, you good? All right. Make sure you have a copy.
I don't have a copy.
You don't?
No. Is there one online?
Yeah, there is
Yeah.
one online. I also have one here that I was saving for the, but we can have it. No, because we're paperless, so.
Yeah. It should be with the agenda that went out. It should be attached. Oh, it's all good. No problem. All right. No questions or comments for the summary page. We have the tax increase page. Do we have any questions or comments from the tax increase page?
Well, go ahead. For the summary page, the
Oh, summary
question
page.
is, I guess as we go through all the pages, but what it caught me is not having anything on reserve over here, has a little dot. I don't know what that means. But there's any reason why that nothing has been put in reserves
Where are we at?
on the summary page?
Under the category total sources,
Total expenditures and
sorry,
then
total
reserves.
sources is not a
Right.
category title.
Yeah, reserves and balances is
Reserves and balances, 38,000.
Yeah, reserves and balances 38,000. Yep.
Expenditure, but that's over expenditures and expenses right on top. So reserves on the bottom has nothing.
No, but it's 38,000. If you look at the even though we're gonna get there, if you look at the public page.
Public affairs?
No.
Okay.
Works. It's page 11. If you look at page 11 under contingencies,
Okay,
at the bottom on page 11, you see the 32,723. That's the reserves. It's the same thing.
yeah.
All right.
And public works.
And under public works, where it says contingencies, we just put it under there. It's always been under there. When we first had the reserve, we just put it under there
Okay.
because we just didn't have a department to throw it into. So that's kind of how it works. All right.
Now, any reasons why the reserve hasn't go up,
Yeah.
Madam Manager, or is it you, Mayor, that has the answer for that?
Either one. We both work together. Either one. Well, the reason why is because we had two hits. Which is the main reason why we had two hits that came in the final hour, and they both can't be denied. And so one was our insurance. Our insurance for Village of Upper Town is going up $50,000 almost immediately. So so what's going to happen is instead of taking from this fiscal year, so we can continue to have a balanced budget, we're gonna take it from, next fiscal year. So
That's
that-
for the building.
That's for, yes, that's for the building, yeah, general liability, cyber liability, auto liability, auto physical damage, property coverage, all that, so.
Okay.
And that's 50,000, and the other one that can't be avoided, we got this on August 20th, and this is coastal, the garbage, they're going up almost $30,000. And so to keep this budget, balanced, we're taking these out of next year's budget. So, and that right there, you're talking about,
80,000.
yeah, over 80,000.
How is it possible for coastal budget to go up?
That's their thing. They're like, we're going up on our prices. But like,
I thought we had a 3-year
what are you gonna
contract
do?
with them.
We do have a contract, but in the contract, it doesn't say that, we're almost done with the contract. I think we have one more year to go.
We do, but I can
Go
also
ahead, go
answer.
Yeah.
They have the right to do
Yeah.
the increase, it's a CPI increase, that is allotted for.
CPI
in,
increase, okay.
in all of, contracts.
And
with
that's
coastal
basically, that's
and
more
solid
for,
waste.
to dump the waste, probably because it's not in Doral anymore, or they have to go, I don't know.
No, it's an opportunity for them to raise rates because it's within a contract for them to do so. So they're taking the opportunity in the last year to do it. So, I mean, they're gonna look at all the news, the latest CPI numbers that came out, and they're gonna use that to notify an increase. In fact, I believe those numbers came out just at the end of July or at the beginning of August. It
At the
took
end
them
of
probably
August.
2 weeks to put it together and send us a notice saying we're to take advantage of the CPI and raising the rate.
Absolutely. So that's the reason why, it didn't.
Is it working now? Oh, okay, sorry. All right.
So
I
that's-
can talk close to it, that's fine.
Yeah, so that's the reason why I didn't.
You don't need
name-
to adjust, I'll adjust myself. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the reason why, are we good?
But I will, that's fine. It's a microphone, that's fine.
Well, we won't have,
Yeah, okay.
we won't
Is that
have
better?
these problems next year, because moving forward, we do have that we're gonna be replacing the audio board, which should have been replaced a year ago, so these problems will be going away. So that is in the budget. So there you go.
So,
But,
I mean-
so I wanna see about the summary page, yes, about the reserve, that was the reserves. Are there any more questions on the summary page?
on the summary page, no. That was actually my question as well.
Okay. We good with the summary page? You guys, you guys have any questions? You guys, look, if you have any questions about anything, you stop me, okay? And I'll explain anything you want me to explain. I got you. Don't worry about it. No problems. All right, good to see you. The next page is the tax page.
Yeah.
That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, my only comment on this is, I feel like it's necessary every time we talk about this page to.
Yeah, we don't raise taxes. We've never raised taxes.
Right, to clarify what the actual title of this page is. So, notice of proposed tax base increase or something to that effect. I don't know, let's see, I'll just try and. Did that fix anything? A little bit, right? Yeah, okay. All right, so plug it, unplug, have you unplugged it and plugged it back in, sir? Okay, so, the title of this page being notice of proposed tax increase, every year is confusing. It sounds like we're increasing the tax rate. We are not. The tax base has increased. So I just always feel it necessary to clarify that.
The reason why it increases every year is because the assessed value goes up on the property, property values on the assessed, part of it. And Dade County does it every year, so they can collect more money, so.
Yeah, and Vice Mayor Perla, explain please, how, quickly explain how, 'cause a lot of people think that with the taxes that El Portal gets like all the taxes from the properties, and let them know, like we get a very small amount of those
Yeah,
taxes.
if you look at the tax bill, you see the El Portal operating taxes, and it's out of $6,000, only $1,800. Now, is that a percentage, Mr. Harry? Is it a certain percentage that they do as an operating, is that correct? So out of total tax amount, only the operating tax amount comes to El Portal, or?
Yes, that's based on the millage rate. So, sorry, the millage rate is, the amount that the village receives is based off our millage rate.
Exactly, but they say, I pay $6,000 in property taxes, right?
What
Out
he's
of-
trying to say is.
Out
like-
of that,
yeah.
I'm trying to establish what is the percentage? Is there a
I don't-
percentage that they
I'm sorry.
calculate, or
I'm not, I'd have to get back to you on that. I don't know if it's a fixed percentage that
is it 1-2% that they send, that they set as a operating expense for El Portal?
I'm not 100% certain on that, but I believe so. I don't know what the exact percentage is, but I could definitely get back to you on that.
Okay, sounds good, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, we were just establishing the fact that a lot of people just think that all the taxes from the properties come to El Portal, but El Portal actually gets a really small amount of taxes compared to what goes out to the county and other places.
And believe it or not, there's probably about 20% of houses that don't pay
Yeah,
taxes to El Portal
absolutely.
because of how old the owners of the house, the ownership of the house, over 30 years, so their taxes, they're paying $2,000-3,000 in taxes. Nothing comes to El Portal. So that's a big, we
Yeah.
need to have those houses moved.
Yeah. On, the only other thing on the tax page, just a really quick clarification, this is just for, official purposes. It says here that the next, which is the first budget hearing, the date and the time is Monday. It's this upcoming Monday, or next Monday, September 9th, 7 p.m. But it says on the bottom, it says a final decision on the adopted budget increase, and the budget will be made at this meeting. That's not the final decision next Monday. We have 2 budget hearings. Next Monday is the first budget hearing at 7. The final one, or the second budget hearing, is right before our council meeting, which is Tuesday, September 24th. And it will be Tuesday, September 24th, and that's at 6:45 p.m. So right here where it says it's the final decision, it's not next Monday, it's not the final decision. So I just wanted to clarify that. It's 6:45, the second budget hearing. Is assessment? Okay, special assessment is 6:45, second budget hearing 6:50, regular council meeting 7 o'clock. All right, so the next page, you all, is the revenue page. This should be the page that makes everybody very happy. Revenue is where things come in and don't go out, okay? So I don't know what questions we would really have about this page, but this is the page that should make everybody smile. Are there any questions or comments about the revenue page? All right, let's begin hearing now. Let's go to the council page. On the council page, you guys, look over it. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Am I hearing none? Can we move on from the council page? Council page never changed, you guys. It's the same as it's always been. There's been no increases. There's a lot of receipts that I haven't submitted yet for a particular purpose. If you guys know, in the past, I've always paid for my travel and per diem out of pocket. Last year was the first year when I was like, if you guys remember, I told you guys in the diet, I said, look, you guys, I pay every year for my travel and per diem. I was like, next year which is this year, I'm probably gonna submit my receipts. I still have all my receipts because I just wanted to make sure, because sometimes things come in the end, right before October 1st, that's unforeseen. If something comes in the end that's unforeseen, like, in a week or something like that, I'll just pay the $5,000 out of my pocket again, like I always do. If not, a couple weeks before the end of the budget season, I'll turn my receipts in for the first time ever. So that's the only reason why you see the 0 next to the 5,000, because I have my receipts just waiting. I'll eat the cost if something comes in that the village needs in between that time. So that's kind of how that goes. If there are not any more questions on the council, we can go ahead and go to the administration and finance page, and you guys let me know your questions and comments.
My only questions are just, regarding the double-digit increases.
What, line items you talking about, councilperson?
Well, actually, let me start with the first one. Executive salary is at 8%. How many, this is just the manager's salary, is that right?
That would be the manager, yes.
Okay, so we're looking at an 8% increase from this past year to the next year? Is that, I mean,
Yeah, so the manager and clerk, in their contracts, they have the 5 and the 3.
Well, and let me, let's talk about that, because it has the 5 and 3, it's, 3% is the, COLA, right, cost of living, and up to 5% merit, based on the performance and, review forms and these and that. Now, it is not, the lawyer is not here, but I don't think it says up to 5%. It doesn't have to be the full 5% plus the 3. So again, I go through different municipalities, and Miami Shores got their 8% increase on their proposed increase on the manager's salary, which it will compare to this one over here, 145,000. But it's a bigger city. They have a $23 million budget. So it's a bigger city. It has more departments. It has a lot more to do than our one-person department kind of thing, kind of government entity. And the Biscayne part, for example, and I just had a time to compare those two, because working in retail, I had no time over the long weekend to review. We just got these on Friday, just as everybody else, to review and go over it. So Biscayne Park got a 5% increase, 6% increase, and on their manager's salary. So it's, you know, whether the contract they have is identical or not to what we have over here with the manager, might not be. But again, I think going all the way up to 8% is always, you know, I'm always comfortable with 5%. And it's not only based on performances and stuff, but it's also the budget that we have and the size of the community. You know, the departments is managed and whatever is not as big as other cities. Last year, I said it, you know, most of the cities I checked, like about 7 to 10 cities around South Florida, and they were all, you know, from 3 to 5%. No, you know, out of the ones I checked, I didn't see no 8% increase on those salaries. So that's my view on the executive salary.
Also present for the record, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Yeah, I'll let the manager jump in, but I just want to kind of point out that, you know, this is according to contracts, right? So maybe other places, they don't have the same contracts that we have here as the first thing. I would say secondly, though, that, you know, if there's a reason why, because, you know, like you said, it's, you know, up to 8% or whatever.
Up to 5.
Up to
and
5.
merit,
The
right.
quota, the 3 COLA, but up to 5, but so up to 8% total. So, you know, but if there's a reason why you feel like her performance was beneath the 5, then that's your right. You can say like, hey, I didn't like the way she did this, but you have to be, you know, detailed about what's the performance that she didn't meet up to in your mind, right? I don't like the way she she failed at she failed because in my mind, she hasn't. In my mind, I think our village is grown, our village has like been transformed, and therefore when I look at it, there's no deficiency where I say, oh, this right here she failed at, this right here she failed at, this right here she failed at. But if you feel like there's something that she failed at, you can go ahead and say it, Vice Mayor, right now.
Yeah, I don't think that's what he's,
That's not my, because we can sit down and go by, especially now when I was going around and, you know, collecting, you know, talking to people, there are a lot of, you know, like deficiencies in the department, and almost every department, and they concern a lot about a lot of people. And when it came to code enforcement, when it came to building, when it came to a lot of other stuff. So And that all falls into the manager's category because she is the one, or the manager is the one, in charge of that. And so I'm not basing it on that. I'm basing it on the size of both our budget and our city. I mean, before, below $100,000, 8% didn't sound crazy. It was fair because it was a low-paid kind of salary. But now jumping into 130, now 145, then 150, it's a lot. Giving, that is, and it's more, I don't want to say setting a precedent because it's not such a thing. Everything is like negotiable. And, but it's more like a trend. And we cannot be like just, I feel it, like it's just because it's there, so 8% it is. Think we have to be a little more conscious when it comes to the budget because it's us taxpayers. And when I don't see much on the coming to our revenues, it's kind of like a little concerning, And again, I'm not only looking at, and my point of view as also taxpayer of this community is, I looked at everything, and it's just not that line of 145,000, but between the two salaries and the retirement and health insurance and all of that, which is part of the whole package, we're paying $300,000. So it's not just 145. It's all combined. When I see other municipalities, I compare us to Biscayne Park, and only because they kind of have the same budget amount, and it's kind of same thing. They all get, the only revenue they get is mostly from property taxes, and the manager of the municipality municipality's salary is $100,000, and then we're paying $45,000 over. I think if we keep increasing, I don't see the benefit of having one person. Not the benefit, but I don't see one person doing a lot more because it's getting $150,000, $160,000, even though it might, deserve it. But if we think about it and then we try to cut it back or cut it down, however it is, and have a manager and assistant manager that could actually work, on different things and not just having one person in charge of. There might not be, it's hard to do a lot of tasks on one, and I understand that. It's my only concern.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All right, so a couple of things, I appreciate that. First, I would say in Biscayne Park not only has the highest millage rate, in Miami-Dade County, but also their manager, who I met because I met when they were going through the hiring process. He just came from, I think, Kansas or Kentucky or something like that. He's in his first year.
Right.
At Biscayne Park. His first year. So, if he was in his, Madam Manager, what year are you in El Portal?
5, 7.
If he was in his 7th year, I guarantee you wouldn't be at $100,000 at Biscayne Park. At all. Like, he started out his first year at $100,000.
Right.
Right, and he's not even from Florida, didn't know anything about Florida, didn't know anything about municipalities here, didn't know anything about managing in Miami-Dade County, had no contacts in Miami-Dade County, nothing. He started out, and he hasn't even been there a full year. I remember when, you guys know I meet with these mayors, I remember when me and Mayor Groth went to lunch with my son, Nistal, and sat there and went through the resumes, and I helped him choose who I thought was the best. And it was Chris, who's at Biscayne Park. That's all I would say about that. The second thing I would say, though, is that, and I understand what Councilperson Irvine was starting to say. All right, so there's a couple ways of looking at this. So it's that, I understand you're saying, well, it's not that she did anything wrong or that she's deficient in any category per se, and the first thing that was brought up was, but we're a small municipality, therefore we have to look at it to where we have to cap these salaries off according to our municipal, I guess, size. But unfortunately, we can redo these or we can look into these, but unfortunately, the contract doesn't say up to a 5% increase. Keep in mind the size of the municipality. It says up to a 5% increase based on performance. So the argument of, well, we're just a small municipality, that doesn't abide with the contract. It's based on performance. So therefore, it has to be she's deficient in this performance. Therefore, she doesn't deserve the 5%. Because that's what the contract states, based on performance. It states based on performance. So it has to be viewed through performance only, not through size or not through, it has to be viewed through performance. Because that's what it's based on per contract.
Well, if I may, Mayor.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Anderson.
absolutely.
I mean, it's just, I know it's different because I'm come from a private sector. I'm also a manager for a corporation. So, and even though my performance in my reviews are at a 20 out of 20 or 15 out of 20, you know, the increases are not necessarily to the top of the max of that increase percentage. So you can get across the board, the manager can get qualified for, you know, 5 points out of every category, but, and, you know, and not necessarily, it's gotta be, the increase you know, could be all the way to the max. And that's just my point of view.
No, I understand what you're saying. I think we have to look at, I think that a lot of things, and I'm sorry, Madam Manager, I'll let you jump in a second. I know you want- But I think that a lot of things we have to really look at is the stuff that I think gets done all the time on a day-by-day basis when I'm here working with the manager, that I just think that people just, I think, take for granted and just, you know, it just happens. And so everything from, you know, last week when it's 7:30, 8 p.m., I'm getting phone calls from residents because a huge tree fell across, what was that, 87th Street, late in the afternoon, and blocking traffic on both sides. And me and the manager are there, and we're on the phone with this, and the tree cutting place is closed. So we have to use her private number to get the tree cutting people to come out in the middle of the night to cut back the tree stuff out of the road because nobody could pass on either side when this tree fell. I think things like, for example, the manager just sent out a email recently about a speed bump. You all have no idea what we had to go through with that to get that speed bump put in. The county, as you guys know, have been denying us a speed bump thing. And this also not only ties in with the manager, but goes with my travel per diem and stuff like that and the things that I do because we were there, the residents, I had block meetings about the speeding that was happening on the streets. And right now, if you go and drive down 86th Street in between North Miami Avenue and Northeast 2nd, we put our first speed bump in, we have more coming. The state and the county would not allow us to put those speed bumps in. I contacted another mayor who then we went through and looked back in some history and found some old documentation about an interlocal agreement. The manager then jumps on, this is all within like a 30-minute period, Madam Manager, jumps on her contacts, and through her contacts, we bypass part of the interlocal agreement because in certain ways, like the state, the county, they don't kind of keep up with each other and this is that. So we found like our wiggle room through to put down the speed bump because we had like 6 cats die in like a month and people were talking about their kids almost got hit. But we're doing that like in real time. So things, I think a lot of times things just show up and people are like, oh, that's nice. Like that's just the way it happens. No, like you guys will see like behind the scenes, the way she works and the way her and I have to work to make all this stuff happen just like that. So I would just say if you guys don't feel like it's 8%, then what do you feel like her performance is? What's the percentage? If you feel like it's 0%, just a 3%, like what's the percentage?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilperson Nyckoles.
my apology for being late. Got a few things going on in the family. I'm kind of with Perella. I'm also with the manager. If we're going to do these kind of things, we should have a special meeting, because this is the wrong time to be trying to talk about what we see in paper. Vice Mayor, right? Vice Mayor Perella has a good point. If you all recall last year, I had the same concern. Why in the world are we looking at numbers growing so high, and yet we got so many things that need to be done here in the village? Having been where the manager is right now, I want a salary increase every year, and I got it. What it is the main issue right now. We may lose her ultimately, but we cannot deny that she has not been doing a good job. It just seems like an awful lot. $30,000, I never got $30,000 in 1 year. And I was deputy city manager of larger cities and a small city about the size of this one. So I think we need to have a better time to talk about these things, because I cannot deny that the manager is not available whenever I call or come by. I cannot deny that. I will not deny that. I will not deny that we have lights now and not a bland-looking, cloudy place. When it got time to paint this place, we hadn't thought about it. The manager did. When we decided that we needed to cut some of those bushes in there, we didn't think about that. The manager did. So I can't disagree with Perella, but I think sometimes we need to talk to the manager. Because if she's gonna leave us, it wouldn't even be nothing. This is no kind of salary for people that are in larger cities. But we're in a little bitty city. And I would rather she leave under her terms than leave because we didn't do right by her. And she will get tired. We do send her to conferences. She does go. So this is like, we should have been talking about this kind of stuff long before the date of when we're gonna present it. Just doesn't seem fair, Mayor. And when I saw it, I was like, all the time in my life, I never had a $30,000 or $35,000 increase in my salary, never.
There's only-
11,000.
Okay,
11,
I'm
yeah.
saying what I never had, okay? The 11,106 minus 145,
No, 134 plus minus 145.
oh, okay, well, whatever the numbers are. If we're gonna have this kind of discussion, let's have it through the year. I've seen and read every report, Mayor, that the manager sent back. She's busy. And it's not ABC stuff. She is busy. She does not have an assistant. By this time, with this kind of money, she should have had an assistant. And whenever I need her, I can say she answers the phone. I can say that. And not only does she take me to the route that I'm trying to get to, but she also tells me what's coming next in this village. Yes, we could use a paint job outside. Yes, a lot of things. But no. We should have had this midterm. From now on, if I had to make a motion, I'd say midterm to when the contract, when the budget comes up, it's coming up. We need to be talking about these kind of things. Not right now, when expectations are high, and my colleague here bringing common sense to the council.
Mayor?
That's all.
Mayor?
All right, well, let me just say one more thing, and I'm gonna go to Madam Manager, and then I'll come back to you.
Fine, if I could, just 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
So that was not my intention at all in terms of triggering quite the discussion. I just wanted to clarify, based on what we had discussed last year, what the 8% was comprised of. I'm gonna have the same questions about the top line of most departments, just
No, I
largely
appreciate
for clarification. Like, for example, I remember the discussion we've had with Mr. Taubenfeld about that, was it 6 1/4? And then, looking at nominal, like the bank service fees, I do have a question about why the bank service fee is higher when the balance is lower, just out of general curiosity. It's not a huge dollar amount. We're talking about $2,000 here, but curious. I'm satisfied with the explanation of the 8%, and I do believe that Dr. Lightfoot Ward is correct, that somewhere in the mid-year, I do believe we should have reviews for the 3 chartered positions, so that
Yeah.
this would, yeah, so in absence of a review process, then I understand why essentially, there's no contest for that 5%. So, I mean, I think I said this last year, until the council's doing annual reviews of the 3 chartered positions, and this is gonna be the position we're essentially gonna be in.
Well, let me just say this. I think that the review should happen either a week ago or right now. This is a workshop. This is where you work the budget. If you look on it, it says Village Council proposed. If we meet in the middle of the year to say, what is the manager's, how good has she been? She could be great until the middle of the year, and then after she gets her great review, say, well, hell with this. I know I'm good already. Let me start taking days off from work. Let me start coming in late. So you can't put somebody in the middle of the year and review them for a yearly budget. You have to wait till the year is over or almost over and say, how did they do this year? Now that it's all in my mind, now that the year has passed, now that the year has ended, now I can really do a good accommodation for how I review them. So I think it's nonsense that we would review somebody in the middle of the year for how they operate for a year. That makes absolutely no sense. So
You
that's
must
how
not
that
have
goes.
never worked for county, public sector, because I always had a review in the mid-year.
So then after the mid-year is over, so all right, so you review the mid-year and you're great, and then you take a month off afterwards. Are you still good for that yearly review? Because the review's already in. It's already in, submitted for that year. So
Just tell me what 5% look like and I'll be fine. Tell me what 6%, whatever everybody getting, just tell me what it is and I'll be fine. But yes, a mid-year is usually what usually happens, because we shouldn't be up in here right now talking about what kind of money is this? You know, the little bitty city, so what? She does a good job. So what?
It's the
But what we're
workshop.
talking about right now is annual budget workshop. We are working towards something. We're not trying to eliminate anything. But it's totally unfair. If we had problems with that, we should have said something, because last year was when we first saw the first $100,000 given it up to the manager. This is the first time we saw it. Okay, now it's $35,000. I never got $35,000, but so what? I ended up being hired at a very high salary too. So, you know, come on, we gotta cut some cake here sometime. We just can't keep building, because otherwise she could be anywhere she wants. Especially if this salary is like this in a little bitty city, like she can go wherever she wants. I'm not looking for the manager to go anywhere, but if it were I, and you don't give me $145,000, I bet you our next one I bet you I have 160. So I don't know what the issue is. We did not do we could have done what do we used to do? We used to do speak your piece on a Saturday or something. We're having a special meeting on so and so and so. Everybody got a chance to say what they needed to say.
That's what this
We don't
is.
say that anymore.
that's exactly what this is.
No, this is not.
It's the
This is
budget
just the
workshop.
annual
That's
budget
exactly
workshop.
what this is, the budget workshop. And it used to be held on it's been held on the Saturday before. This time it's a Tuesday night, because Tuesday night's usually our government night. So I
Not
said,
the
let's put it on a Tuesday night, because people
Not
are
the
used to coming
issue.
on a Tuesday night. You can argue with me all you want, but it's the truth.
Not the
And
issue.
another thing you
35%.
said was annual. Yes, annual, yearly. How can you put something out for a half a year on somebody that's going for it? So half a year when we meet, we're supposed to say, okay, so the annual raise for the manager is going to be this based on a half of a year of an evaluation. That makes absolutely no sense.
Nobody said that. I said, if we could find a way to have middle ground in the mid-session, that's what I said. Don't put things in my
You
mouth.
said this should not be done now. This should have been done earlier. We should have did it at a mid-year. That's what you said
And I
for
meant
this.
it. But we're not.
How do we do a mid-year evaluation for something for an annual yearly budget. That makes absolutely no sense.
Robert Rules of Order, point of order. I'm just saying, I'm not looking to debate, I'm just saying, consider the fact that mid-year, the manager gives a report every month. Yes, she is busy, my dear colleague, yes, she is busy. But so am I. But my taxes keep going up and I can't hardly pay it. I'm retired. So if I was gonna be all a nut, I'd be talking about somebody come and help me pay my taxes since I really don't work anymore. But I'm not there. I'm where I'm where the manager, the manager's where I used to be. So, you know, this not, when we saw this number, I'm with you, Perella. When I saw this number, I went, oh my God, I know I never gave me no $35,000 and I work for cities bigger than this. I'm with you, but it's there. It's 145 grand. We didn't say nothing before now. We didn't get a chance to say nothing before now.
Because we weren't doing the budget workshop before
We don't
now.
have to be in the budget workshop. We just simply have to say, we're going to be talking about things related to so-and-so. And it's a public meeting. And therefore, nobody's surprised. We already know the value of the manager. We already know the value of everybody else that's on this thing. But right now, what we're doing is we're minimizing the fact that we didn't do anything before, and $30,000, again, I never got a $30,000 raise, and I worked in cities much bigger than this.
Who got a $30,000 raise?
It's 11,000.
11,000, okay, for this year.
For this
Okay,
year.
we're gonna do the 11,000.
Last year was almost 30,000
Okay.
increase because
Okay.
it was a backlog,
Yeah.
right? From
Okay.
the previous years.
But she's talking about this year, I thought.
Right.
Yes.
What is it?
2 years ago it was 91,000, then it went up to 140,
34.
That's right.
then it was down to 35.
Because of the previous year weren't increased.
Yes.
Because it was like, I owe you kind of.
We
thing.
owe
The previous years weren't increased.
It
yes.
wasn't, that's right.
Yes.
So if we're gonna tell the story, tell the whole story.
So, I'm sorry, I have a question in regards to the, before we used to have a mid-year budget review. But why is the workshop being done I also feel a little, because it's almost at the end. We have to do everything from beginning to end within September, right? Because in October is the year. So why not in July? Why not do the workshop in July? Sometimes in August, even though it's a government recess, some cities had their workshops in also August. Not to have a back-to-back pressure of, discussing this last minute. And again, even if it's a last minute, you can make a motion right now and say, well, I motion 6% instead of 8%.
Exactly.
I motion 5% or whatever percentage.
Let me,
Yeah.
all right, so the manager's been waiting to talk, but let me answer your question though, Vice Mayor Perella, because this is something that and see, like, this is the thing, you can't have it both ways. So everybody talks about we're a small community, we're a small village, we're a small village. Because we are a small village, then we need to have the most accurate of what we have to work with. If we have this stuff in June, in July, what did I just say in the beginning of the meeting? August, we got this August 15th, $50,000 insurance. We got this August 20th, $30,000.
Yeah, we don't have that wiggle room
So
to
that was
cover
August. That was August 15th and August 20th. And so if we would have had this in July, if we would have had this mid-year and said, oh, she's doing wonderful, let's give her the whatever, and this would have been 100,000 instead of 50,000, and this would have been 80,000 instead of 30,000, then we would have got here now and been like, man, we're like we're under. We don't have a balanced budget for the first time in El Portal history. But hey, we had a mid-year and we promised her that we would give her the whole thing because back then we had the money. But this comes in later. And since El Portal doesn't have the leeway and the cushion, we have to wait to get to the end to then figure out, okay, what do we have to work with exactly? Then we know what we have to work with. Then we know how much money we have to work with. Madam Manager?
Well, I kind of hate to go after all of that, but I will say I appreciate the confidence given to me by Mayor Nickerson and by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, and even by Councilperson Irvine. I have to say that I have worked here. I started at $85,000. I worked at that salary for a few years, And, you know, comparing to other municipalities, I will bring to your attention their contracts. I'm still the lowest paid municipal manager in all of Miami-Dade County. You look at those contracts, you will see that there are things such as living expenses, moving expenses. They give them new tires every year. The car allowance is significantly higher. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into these. So if you want to just compare the number, I'm still low. But if you really want to get a good idea about what other managers make, also look at those contracts. Also, have assistant managers and other department figure. We're one-person departments. I don't have an assistant. They have administrative staff. We don't even have that. So there are costs that will come with that. And I'm sure that, you know, I won't be here forever, and you'll replace me at some point, and it will have to be comparable. I'm sure you won't go back to 85,000. So I think there is a value that you get with me. I mean, I think I deserve, you know, the increase, and I hope you think that. That's why I do work the way I do. I try to, you know, to accommodate all of our residents, and what I want to, you know, do is ensure that this is not just operated the way it was when I got here as a small town. We are a real municipal government, and we're running as such. I remember having this discussion with you, Dr. Lightfoot Ward, about, you keep saying we're small. No, we're as big as we can be, and we're gonna be as comparable as any other municipal government. That's the way I'm you know, pursuing the development of the administration. And I got good people for a change. You know, it's tough to get that as well, to give them salaries that would keep them and retain them, and not just have people who are, you know, using this as a revolving door because they don't, you know, have any other options, so they'll take the lower salary. I'm trying to make it a good place to work. We don't have the highest salaries, but we have a good work environment, and I really trust the team we have. I'm working with them the best we can. So I hope that has a value to you. That's all.
What do you all suggest if you don't want the 145, 683? What's the amount you guys suggest?
Mr. Mayor, I say we go with where we are right now and stop it, because it's just, there's no way to disvalue the manager. There's no way to do that. But with the notice tonight that the increases won't be like they have been in the past, I think Perella has a good thought. There's a turntable on this thing, and I think he has a good point. We can't just keep doing that type of thing when we don't know what's coming up. What's our reserve fund look like? I'm sitting here always looking for a reserve fund. I never see what the reserve fund reserves, negative, total expenditures and expenses. I don't see the reserve fund.
Yeah, well,
it's just me, maybe it's just me, but I'm just saying, for the benefit of everything, we will not minimize you, manager. We will not minimize you. But there are things that need to be done that we could use this money otherwise. But right now, since we ain't talked about it, give it to us. Let's keep going.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, and I don't either. I mean, you know, I'm trying to minimize the work and whatever, especially we've been working together with the parks, and it's been a huge, you know, believe it or not, even though things hasn't been done, it's a lot of, like, you know, meetings and getting together, and a lot of work, a lot of researches, and a lot of things that, you know, come into place just to do one little thing in the government that is crazy. It's not about that. It's about, you know, just what I said at the beginning, just the money.
Is there a motion on the floor?
No, there's not a motion. This is a workshop. If we're going to move from executive salaries, let's move down to the next thing. Councilperson Urban, you had brought up, which is bank service fees.
Yeah, just to understand why there was an increase in bank service fees if the agreement with the bank hasn't changed.
I would actually say that I believe the agreement, the fees did actually increase. We are processing a lot more checks as well, so there are additional fees.
Okay, so this is outside of.
Yeah, this has not to do
This
with
is outside of the debt. This is day-to-day operations.
Day-to-day operations,
Okay,
bank
okay.
fees from the operating, mostly from the operating account.
Very good.
Yeah, the debt's being paid down accordingly per the agreement.
What's the next thing anybody wants to look at, you guys?
I was looking at a few little lines over here. The postage, repair and maintenance, self-storage rental, office supply, $13,000, that's a lot. Water cooler rental, $7,500, all totaling $33,000. There's any way on those lines that we can actually, machinery and equipment, also $5,000. And other current charges, $7,500. What are those? So basically, lines,
Yeah, if you could just, you rattled
yeah,
off quite a few, so. if
Go
I
one
could
by
just
one,
go
Vice Mayor
by
Pro.
one, and then-
300, right?
What's the first one you want him to clarify?
Repair and maintenance, right? $2,500.
So what is that?
What is that?
Okay, so the numbers that you see there is a budget, so we're budgeting $2,500. It's not, again, so, if you look at the actual amount year to date.
Year-to-date.
The actual year to date is only 1,000.
Mhm.
I don't have, I can get you the information, I don't have that in front of me at the moment. But understand, I think the number that you rattled, you mentioned was 33,000. I believe most, if not all of them, were under budget on those particular items. Again, so these are budgeted items, budget expenses, we're trying to forecast what the expenses are gonna be, come 12 months from now. So, again,
Yeah, I see the machinery and equipment at 5,000, but then year to date is $1,800. But
Correct.
what is that, what does that entail? What machines, what equipment?
Mostly office equipment, computers, desks, chairs, stuff like that, anything over $250.
Okay, I see. And the office supplies, $13,000.
So that, yeah, that's an increase, again, with the cost of where we are today with society, obviously, there's an increase in cost. You know, things are costing 20-30% more than they were, a few years ago. Again, it's a budgeted number, trying to look at where we are historically and trying to project where we think we're going in the future. We budgeted 9,000 last year. Unfortunately, it looks like we're gonna be a little bit under. So again, we're just trying to project a more accurate number as to what we think it's gonna be for next year.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, you just always keep in mind, you guys, what you see as far as like what's requested. I mean, not salaries definitely are going, but like when you see these other line items, what's requested is what's projected. It's not like we have to spend it. It's not like we're going to get to the end of next year and be like, how much we got left? Let's go spend it. It's not like that. It's what's projected. So we need to budget for it so that we just cover it, because it's better to be on that side than to be on this side of it and to be at like a shortfall, So just because it's budgeted, we're just trying to cover it. Doesn't mean that we're going to use all of it. All right?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. My Councilperson Lightfoot.
Then with that said, only $80 was spent on education and training, right?
Yes.
We're still budgeting for 3,000. Only 1,858 for machinery and equipment, yet we're still trying to budget it for 5,000.
Yeah,
The
you're
boat
saying,
is not riding right.
Yeah.
The boat is definitely not, it's not afloat the way it should be.
Yeah.
So with
what's going on there?
Morella said, looking at it from my perspective, from the person that doesn't have to pay the bills, just have to make the motions. We only did 8,000. I mean, I could do this all night, but I don't want to be here all night. I got things to think about. 88, and the department is requesting 13, when we barely got to the 9. But I understand that. Our office supplies have gone up ridiculously. And if we keep looking at it, you keep seeing what the increases may or may not be. We went from just jumping around, contracted accountant, 80,000. The fiscal year was 66. Then we go into 85. But we only did what? The budget adopted 80,000. The contracted accountant only did 66,000. Well, we're taking it up to 85 grand. I would imagine that it had more to do with
No, these are year-to-date.
Yeah,
This
I
is
got
what's
you.
these are the budgeted numbers.
Okay, he's corrected my error. But it does say department requested a certain amount. The budget adopted in '24 is what we're here today for, or we're doing '25? Because if we're doing '25, go look over it again and see that most of these numbers are fair.
Yeah,
Most of them are fair.
yeah,
A few of them might need to be brushed off a little bit, but most of them are fair.
thank you.
That's my concern.
Thank you, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. I would just like to say, as you guys know, this upcoming year, the manager becomes the president of the entire Managers Association of Miami-Dade County.
Congratulations.
And so she's gonna be having to do a lot more with the education and training. This is a huge and very debonair organization. It's in charge of all of the managers in Miami-Dade County. Just want to say, and they gave us a shout out, for the first time ever in Miami-Dade County history, next year I become the president of all the elected officials in Miami-Dade County. So this will be the first time in El Portal, in the history of Miami-Dade County, where in the same municipality, you have a president of all the managers and a president of all the elected officials throughout Miami-Dade County at the same time in the same year. And that's going to happen. We get sworn in a month apart, about a month apart. I get sworn in June. I think you're like a couple weeks apart, probably.
I don't know yet.
When you're,
This was all a surprise to me too. I was just alerted by Richard
Yeah.
Cooper with the league, like, oh, you're gonna be the
Yeah.
president, and so we'll.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has been it's a huge boon for El Portal.
It's gonna be
and,
huge.
it is, unprecedented, of
It's
course. And
unprecedented.
it will also be the first time that a manager has been the president of the Management
yeah.
Association. So I'm happy that my, other managers have that kind of confidence in me, and I'm, happy to serve. And that does also, play into a lot of the benefit that comes to El Portal in terms of
100%.
resources that we
Yeah.
get. Those relationships are critical, as the mayor has made his relationships very critical to our success too.
I appreciate that, Madam Manager. So I understand exactly what you're saying. I agree with you, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, with what you're saying about these, the requested amounts. But for that education and training, I know that's definitely going up from $80 when she becomes the head of that organization. She's going to have to. So, is there anybody else? Any other questions or comments for the administration and finance, you guys? Or can we move on to planning and zoning?
Yeah, I do have one final comment. It's just a comment.
Take care. Listen, if you guys need anything at all, contact me. Jacoby, can you give them my card? I can you grab two of my cards from the front of the thing. Contact me. I know you know how to find me, but I always like to just give them out, just in case.
Well, they already have mine, and I'm glad to see
All
you.
right. You guys take care. All right. Clerk Jacoby's going to give you guys real quick on the way up. All right, so let's move on to planning and zoning, you guys. Mr. Winter, do you have any questions? You good? Okay. Planning and zoning. Might have a question here, you guys. Go ahead.
I'm planning and zoning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I suppose, maybe, Madam Manager, could you just illustrate the divide in stacks on these two consultants' desks?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, as you can see, the first one is Pluserbia, and that, we're looking to increase in, from their 40,000, which is their contracted amount. We want to have that with the addition of their work for the code amendments. I did speak with Councilperson Martin, who's, we all know we need to get code amendments, but I think the fee was too high. So I spoke with Pluserbia. They said they can do half in the new fiscal year and the next half or 40% in the 60% and then 40%, and then 40% will be in our in fiscal year 26, because it does take time. So that's why there will be a $20,000 increase, because that represents that amount from the proposal that they provided about the code amendments that they will do in addition to the things that they do for us already, which is, the development the comprehensive plan, you know, the things that they're already contracted to do. In terms of Corradino Group, well, they're working overtime. As you see, we've got so much happening and so many items coming to you for planning and zoning because El Portal is a hot market and everybody wants to do something outside of the code. So, and they also have a portion of the zoning. That's what they do, zoning plus
Okay.
service planning. So zoning will also be dealing with the new, you know, the annexed area. So they're contracted with us to work at a level that will not exceed $9,000 a year. That's what we contracted with them to do a year and a half ago.
Okay.
But we didn't properly put that into place, and that's why it's over, because they came in March, so it only allotted for half a year and not a whole year. So the
Okay.
entire year is the 9,000.
Sure.
So that's where it is now.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else, you guys? Hearing none. Let's move on
And,
to.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
Question
Mr. Vice
about
Mayor,
that-
go ahead.
That contract, $108,000. Is that the revenue that we have to offset this amount? Is that from building with the planning and zoning, or is it?
That revenue comes back to the village. There's this, actually, if you go.
I mean, why? For us to pay the $108,000, 108, that amount, that comes from, it pays for itself. Like, the work that they do, is that generated by all the applications that we get? Is that it?
I wouldn't say it covers the full amount, but it does generate some revenue. We do charge for a planning and zoning review.
Okay.
It's a flat $300 fee for every planning and zoning review. So if you wanted to look at the revenue, it's
Right, I
listed.
wanted to see where it was reflected.
It's reflected in the general fund. If you go to the general fund revenue, in the middle, towards the middle of the page, it's called Planning and Zoning Review. We had budgeted 20,000, year to date through July, we were at 16,200, and we're projecting 25,000 for next year.
Okay,
For planning and zoning?
yeah.
What
For
is that?
Planning and Zoning Review.
So the question was, the manager was, actually, by the time we were trying to contract and divide planning and zoning from Proservia, right? Because they were basically doing both things, and they didn't wanna keep doing it, so it was to contract Corradino to do just zoning, residential zoning, right?
Right.
And Proservia will do like the commercial part of it and stuff.
Well, they do
That was-
planning, so those are
Planning.
a little bit
Right.
different. Like, they're doing site plan reviews and all this stuff, but what Placerbia is doing is comprehensive plan. They are doing the street plans that we commission for the resiliency, those type of things. So they're more on how we develop as a city, and that's what Placerbia is doing. Zoning, Corradino is just getting these homes, these lots, these
Right.
applications
Right.
processed.
Now, based on the, because I know that was one of the, actually, Council Martin's requirements or request was to actually do like a mid-year review and see whether it was worth it or not for us to have a contract with Corradino and Placervia, to have two planning and zoning consultants, per se. Is it something that you see as worth?
I don't know. I wasn't in that meeting because I was ill for that planning and zoning, but I did speak with her after. That's how I know she asked to pursue it. So let me look into that, because I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know the answer to that, and this is the first I'm hearing of it. So I'd like to kind of think about it. But I do know Placerbia would not be interested in doing zoning.
Right,
So
right,
then, but I know Corradino has the capacity to do it.
right.
I don't know what it would cost. So let me look
So
into it.
it's, for 108, is it worth it, and the amount of applications
Oh, I
that we
think so.
have, is it, you know?
I think that they're
Okay.
worth it. You know, I do, but I want to look and see if they do planning, and I can come up, but it would not be for this fiscal year, only because I would have to then ask them for a proposal and go through that whole process.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
All right, We good on that page, you guys? I'm gonna go to the next, village clerk.
Yeah, so, and the village clerk, same question as the 10.67% increase, just to understand what comprised the 10.67% increase.
Okay, so one thing with the village clerk, so you also, you do have the, in her contract, it's a 5% COLA. Her COLA's 5% automatically in her contract. Her increase is 3%, so she has 8 also, and I'll explain the rest of it. Her increase is 3%, and it's 3%, you know, based on her evaluation, I mean, based on her performance and stuff like that. As far as the 10%, so what ended up happening was that this year, so if we look at her, now I don't know if it's projected. So if we look at her projected, she's going, yeah, so she's going to end up over this year because we didn't account for vacations, her vacation time that she has in her contract that we have to pay her. That wasn't accounted for when we budgeted last year. That wasn't accounted for. So when I saw that, when I caught that this year, then we had to, you know, we have to increase it. We have to count that for next year. We have to count that in there because otherwise we won't be budgeting correctly. So I'm just trying to budget correctly. So that's where that comes from. That's the extra 2% you see, almost 3%. So it won't be, so next year it won't be like a 10%. It would just be, you know, at least 5, if not 8. Anybody else? You guys? And that 83 also comes a little bit under. She should, it's with her thing, it's probably going to be like 85. It should be 85.9 or something. It should be, if it was done correctly. But,
Sorry, I haven't. If no one else has another question, I have another question.
no, go ahead.
Okay.
Councilperson.
The line item for municipal elections. So that is for November, is that right?
Yeah, so that's for November. There may also be some more on there because we have one individual who currently is not qualified. Her signatures are in dispute. We have an attorney, our attorney trying to talk to the elections department to see if he can do something about it. But we might have to have another special election on top of that for an individual.
Do we know what that cost would be?
It would be at least the same, but we wouldn't even be piggybacking on a regular election, so it'd be much more. You're probably talking about closer to 18, 20,000 if we have to have a special election because that individual's the individual signatures are not qualified right now.
So it doesn't matter if it's like 1 seat or 2 seats or 3 seats in a special election, that's gonna be the cost of the special election?
I'm not sure, Madam Clerk, does it matter how many seats, or is it just because they have to do the special election?
So as of now, we're gonna have an election due to that we have 2 qualified candidates for the same seat, so that would be 15,000. This is a separate issue that we're trying to, I'm trying to get the legal opinion of the attorney to see if we're gonna have to have a special election. If we have a special election, it's on our own, but we have something peculiar this year because the elections department is changing and it's become a different position now. So everything in the election departments will be different. We will not be able, being at that, this particular situation does have to have an election. We can be looking at anything from $25,000 to $30,000 to hold us our own election, apart from the 15 for this current election that there's 2 candidates in the same seat.
So remember, you guys, that that for the first time ever, we have a supervisor of elections election. So they're going to be coming in, they're going to be changing things. This is after November, right? So this is
Everything's
before
gonna
we would have a
change.
special election. So a lot of things are going to change over price and costing and stuff like that, especially depending on who wins that election seat. I don't know why the supervisor of elections is a partisan seat, but there's a Republican supervisor of elections candidate and a Democratic supervisor of elections candidate, which I think is absolutely ridiculous, because then why would you put somebody as supervisor of elections when they're partisan and they're part of either political party? That to me just looks like down the line is going to be chaotic, but I don't know. It's government. They do what they want to do. Any other questions with the village clerk department, you guys?
Yes, again, line, machinery and equipment, again. Year to date doesn't show that it's been, nothing has been spent, and then we have $5,500 in there. What kind of like, and is it the same? Is that for the council's,
Discretion.
computers and equipment and stuff, or is it, what is it? What is that amount?
I didn't input that.
Oh,
amount.
okay. What are those, what are those $5,500 for,
I assume it must have been an error, because that was not from my
Mr.
department.
Harry, if there's,
Maybe we should keep it at 25 here, like, is there a reason why we're putting it up to 5,500?
It just could be a typo. I mean, I have to look at my notes.
Yeah,
I don't
we'll
have it
look
in
at
front of me, but we can change it.
So we could change that back to 25, we'll look at that and see.
okay.
Well, should we, I mean, so in the admin budget, I was gonna make a final comment just to say that overall increase of the budget is only at 5.32%, something like that. The overall increase of the planning and zoning is much larger because of the consultancy, scenario. And the clerk, we're at 11.36, of other things we discussed, so, but maybe instead of putting it back to 2,500, I mean, I would propose putting it at 3,000, I mean, for the same logic that the CFO was outlining for other line items.
Whatever you guys want, let me know what you guys want, I'll make the note and we'll make the change. What do you guys want, 25?
It seems like kind of a contingency budget, as there's nothing used from this last year in it. However, I mean, one computer's already gonna pretty much max that out if that ends up being the scenario, or whatever the other equipment might be, so. I'll propose a nominal increase and for a similar fashion as outlined by the CFO to 3,000.
You want 3,000, Vice Mayor Pearl?
Yeah,
You good with that? Councilperson Lightfoot, you good with 3,000?
That's fine.
All right, 3,000. Any other questions on the clerk's department? All right, I'm hearing none. Let's flip over public affairs. So let me explain public affairs, the same explanation I gave last year, you guys.
And ladies,
Excuse, what did you say, Councilperson Lightfoot?
and ladies.
Oh, well, yeah, well, gentlemen and women, women and gentlemen, men and women, ladies and gentlemen. So the promotional activities where you guys see the 20,000, that's the state of the village, but it's always offset on the revenue side with the sponsorships that I bring in. Unfortunately, and I said this also last year, the way budgets work, you can't offset it. I wish you could, because then it would look beautiful, but you can't offset your revenues from what you spent budget-wise. So if you look at it, the year-to-date is 20,000, but I also brought in actually more in sponsorships on the revenue side. So, but it was the same thing last year. It was the same exact thing last year that happened. So. You have any questions about public affairs before we flip over? Hearing none? Yes. Yeah, come. For what, public affairs, or is it from before? So can you wait until, so let me go in order. So right now I'm on police. If you have police, do that, and then we get to the end, we'll bring you back. All right, to do whatever you want to ask about. Yeah. Okay, so let me just deal with the police budget right now, and then we go like that, and then anything that you don't see on a particular thing, when you come up at the end, you just ask all those, all right? Yeah, or anything, all right? I got you, no problem. All right, so police budget, you guys.
Thank you. I really need that. I got
Okay.
Yeah, so my first question is about what's going on at the top of,
So, our Major Harrison is no longer with us. And we're not replacing with another major. So, that's not happening.
Okay.
So we're just pushing, that work basically onto the chief. And, he just has to step up and work a little bit harder, and that's just what it is, because in the end, we decided that we save much more money that way, so.
But he did get an increase of 28%, from 75,000 to 96,000.
Yeah, well, he's picking up a lot of the things the major used to do. The major by himself was 60-something thousand.
And it was, it was 100, it was 141, the chief was 75,000 and the
No, the
rest,
chief
right?
was at 81. He got a cost of living increase from the last 2 years.
Oh, was
So he
it?
was at 81,000. But yes, there is a jump due to some savings and some need for us to retain good leadership. I mean, I know the major left, money was a big issue.
Yeah, he left money was the
Several
issue.
proposals were made by the major and the chief about salary increases.
Mhm.
He wasn't satisfied, he moved on. We wanted to keep our chief. He certainly didn't get his request, but we wanted to give him something to show good faith, and so this is our number.
I see.
and the executive salaries within the police department are outside of the PBA negotiation, is that
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes. And now they're getting paid more. It's just fair.
So, any other questions on the police budget?
I do have a few. I see workers' compensation going up to $40,000.
Workers' comp, Harry, on the
Right.
police?
Yeah, that relates to what you were referring to, the late bill that we received in August.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Every year, we do a review with insurance.
So
And
that's just an insurance increase is what that is?
that's strictly, that's what it
That
is.
sounds right based on what my experience in the last 4 months has been with
The insurance line
companies.
as well as the workman's compensation line.
Right, they went double over here, also insurance. Is that the insurance for,
It's it's liability as well as,
liability? Okay.
We just cannot outlaw racketeering in El Portal, or else no insurance company will be able to service.
What's the next line item, Vice Mayor?
Other current charges, office supply, operating supplies, those are $27,000.
Well, the other current charge is at 6,000, it's already at
And then-
5,600. Do you want to know what that is, basically?
And operating supplies, 15.
And operating supplies, 15, yeah, it was 15 last year, so it looks like it's coming up under 8.
Right.
So you're thinking they're budgeted, it's budgeted too high, you're saying?
I don't know what is that for. Operating supply, what does that entail?
those supplies relate to items that he needs for his officers on the field, in the field. Cones, gloves, any other items that you might need. I'll let the manager answer.
And it's also, we've increased our ticketing, so those things too, and it's for their field work.
Got it.
And because we have more in the field,
Yeah, we're doing a lot more field work now.
we want to make sure we have enough for them, because we're also, increasing our roster. We are also,
Mr.
hiring
Mayor,
2 full-times.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward?
we went from how many officers to how many, Madam Manager?
We're,
Ballpark.
Well, count them, I mean, we can break it down, but
we presently have 8 full-time officers, but we're budgeted at 9. We need to have 2 more.
yeah. And let me say, we have much more, because what's not being said, and a reason why the chief's doing a wonderful, 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 wonderful job. And this is what I'm saying when I spoke earlier about behind the scenes, a lot of stuff that we just, like, the manager and I just put together and we bring to the chief, and the chief has his ideas, and it just works perfectly. Before we used to have reserve officers that acted like reserve officers. We have reserve officers
Active duty.
that
Officers, yes.
They're just like you cannot tell they're not full time. Oh, we have captains that are reserves that are here 8, 9, 10 hours a day on the weekends. They're on call when I call them at midnight, when I call them at 2 in the morning. And they're reserve officers. So we're saving money from El Portal because we're using reserve officers, but we kind of like give them that morale, and they're working just as hard as the full-time officers, but they're reserves. Absolutely amazing. And yeah, just like Vice Mayor Perella said, there is wild. Like, you would never know they're reserves. So so it's the amount of full-time officers, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, that we have. It doesn't tell the story of just how much we're doing right now, how big we really are. So
Tell me line item, I'm trying to find myself. What the reserve officers are.
Well, they aren't paid, they aren't compensated.
that's the point I'm trying to make tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She asked where's their line item, they don't have one.
They don't have one, right.
Right.
So why tell us all of that? We're talking about money right now.
Because we're getting free work from officers who are captains who work just as good or better than the officers that we have hired as officers. That's why that's important, because you asked how many officers we have. And I'm trying to show the picture of the police department.
They're not hired and paid, so the information was irrelevant. They're not.
It's not irrelevant. We're getting
You
free
ain't
work
paid
from
'em?
them. You can yell all you want to.
You
It's
paid
not
'em?
irrelevant.
Did you pay them? No.
That's the point.
Yeah, you didn't pay them, so.
Well, speaking of payment, let's just hope that your signatures that are not qualified come through, because that was going to be another $20,000 to the village for a special election. So, anybody else for the police department?
You have any questions? Machinery and equipment, again.
From 25,000 to a budget at 85,000, what exactly?
That is sorry.
Can. I'll do it, that's fine. So I will tell you, Vice Mayor Perella. So it's over budget in the year-to-date only because we're still awaiting a reimbursement for, this also includes the fee that it costs for the new vehicle for Chief Mendez. We got a grant for the pickup truck, for a high water vehicle, and so that's $40,000, $50,000, I'm sorry, we're expecting to come back to us within, it's just, as you know, we haven't gotten it yet.
Oh,
But
okay.
so if you remove that, it's, remove the 50,000, you're still at 40, but they do, again, more staff, they just need the equipment.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect, thanks.
Thank you very much. Anybody else for a line item police department? How you guys doing out there? You good? Come. Say your address, name, address for the record.
Hello, Charles Winters, 377 Northeast 85th Street, El Portal. If you guys didn't see in the news recently, they came back with something from the 2019 UPS driver that was shot during a chase.
Started on Coral Gables and then.
Yeah, and they
Pines.
just found out that the bullets that hit the pedestrians and hit the guy were actually from police. They were actually, none of the bullets that hit the people were actually from actual bad guys. So a question for the police budget is, do we have bullets somewhere in here where police can go and train with their guns and always keep themselves working on them so they're always gonna fire straight if we ever have that kind of situation?
Yeah, so if you look at education and training,
It's part of the
it's
education
the
and training,
second,
probably, yeah.
it's second from the thing, and you look at bullets and vests, it's like 3 up from that. But we have education, so one of the things that,
Not bullets though for like in the field, but bullets to bring home and go to the range.
So under education and training,
Yeah.
And one of the things that Manager Lou and myself wanted to do years ago when I first became mayor, we said we wanted to have one of the most trained police departments in Miami-Dade County, and we actually do. And so not only do we have, as a matter of fact, we have these things called these Daniel Defense guns, and we were the first ones in the state of Florida to have them. And that's important because not only are these guns the most state-of-the-art guns, and we got them with no taxpayer dollars, we got them through a grant, but not only are these guns state-of-the-art guns, but they come with like a protection because of the technology of the guns and things like that. And they all, our entire department has been trained on those guns multiple times. They've gone to multiple trainings with those guns. So everything education and training, training and education is one of the things that we hold at the highest level. So.
Is that taken from the grants at all, or no?
Yeah, so the training and stuff, a lot of it does come from, you know, other payments, but some of it does come out the budget though.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, me too.
Anybody else line item police department? Flipping it over, code enforcement. Any questions? Questions, comments?
Yeah, same question about the top line, 10%.
Madam Manager?
The one, oh, this?
Yeah, just a simple,
I
just a simple
apologize, I
explanation.
didn't hear it.
Yeah, just a simple explanation of why,
Fits.
I mean, I certainly support,
Oh,
yeah.
why it's different,
10%, why
Well,
is it
just why it's at
10%?
10%.
oh, because he, I will say this, so mid-year, I gave him a 5% increase based on performance, but also generating more revenue for the department and the need to keep him in place. You know, it's, again, difficult to keep a good staffer, but I'm trying to give him whatever resources we can, but I also recognize that his diligence has made it a more productive department, and I gave him that mid-year. So then this would be another 5% from that. So
Okay.
it's not 10% all at once, it was 6 months ago, and now this.
Very good, thank you.
Any other line item questions, you guys?
Sorry, Madam Manager, on the part-time, on the new gal, she's very nice. I met her the other day.
Yes.
Are there a set number of hours that she's at part-time? Is it?
Yes, she's here on a temporary basis. It's 3 months, and it's $20,000, not to exceed $20,000. So she's an hourly, she's paid the
Okay.
hour she works. And she typically works like a 10-hour, 2 days a week.
Okay, so, so we only have her for 3 months?
Because we're trying to make sure we're not, you know, overstepping. We want to see if there's, you know, if she can assist Mr. Simmons in getting the department all set up. If there's a need and we have the funds, perhaps we'll offer her an opportunity. But
Okay.
she does work somewhere else full-time as a
Okay.
code
Oh,
officer.
okay.
So to get a, you know, we need a code officer, not just someone trying to learn it.
It
you
seems
know.
like we do like having her here, though. Is
We
that right?
like her.
Yes, okay.
She's very, very good. Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Anyone else for code? All right, hearing, seeing none. Oh, go ahead, Vice Mayor Perot. For code?
No, I'm okay, thanks.
Okay. Hearing, seeing none, let's move on to Public Works. Any questions or comments? Take your time, look over it for a couple minutes.
Yeah, my question on Public Works, Madam Manager, is the increase in the repair and maintenance of Village Hall from 25 up to 60. Is that enough? I mean, I know it's not, the short answer is no, but I mean, I'm just curious how you arrived at 60 and not 100, basically.
I think we were just trying to balance and try to work with the numbers we have.
Something that might be possible,
Yeah.
and see what we can do this year and try
Absolutely.
again next year, okay.
And looking at the year-to-date, Councilperson Urban,
Right, and
for
we're
now.
pretty,
Okay, so the year-to-date influenced that, okay, so we anticipate roughly the same amount of work next year as what we did this year?
yes.
More, probably, right?
Maybe probably more, but we have more projects that we're still, you know, we still
I
have
would-
to do ramps, we still have to do.
I would propose we increase that budget, I throw another 10, I know it's gonna, the CFO's probably gonna be like, okay, where am I gonna find the 10,000 from? But I would propose we increase that by 10,000.
Let's just keep it 60 for now, Councilperson Urban. Just
Okay,
'cause-
I'll bring it up again at the
I
next
have a
one.
question about my next
I'll bring it up
right
again.
here. So-
Please do.
So now the contractual services, others, 4,050, was that?
I'm sorry, contract services, other was, an extra expense of, $4,050, that was for?
The handyman's work. Is that the handyman's work? This one? Okay, I'm sorry, one moment.
We'll get back to you on that.
Okay, I thought it was one thing, but he's pulling out some information. I'll get back to you, Vice Mayor.
Okay.
So we'll come back to that. Any other questions, questions or comments, line items, Public Works?
Yeah, I'll say it, just because we're here, I will say it. So, I'm a conservationist, I'm a tree hugger, but I think that we should dump the recycling budget and lead the nation in canceling our recycling contract based on what we know about the complete and total waste that recycling is at this point in time. We tried for 40 years, it's a failed experiment. It is not the impetus of the consumer to fix this problem, and I am 100% in favor of 100% eliminating our recycling budget.
You know, the only thing I would say to that, you know, not coming down on either side, I hear you, Councilperson Urban, is I don't know how, all right, so definitely for this upcoming year, we wouldn't be able to do it, right? Because we're under contract, right? We're under contract. Now, so that would mean, so maybe, you know what we need to do then? Maybe we need to include Councilperson Urban in part of the negotiation when we negotiate a new contract. Because I don't know how they would separate.
I don't know how they're going to, I don't know how they can justify what it is that they're charging based on what actually is eligible for recycling, and most of what used to be eligible for recycling no longer is, because the third world countries we dumped it on got wise and said, you know what, never mind, no thank you, we're not doing anything with it anyway.
Well, I can also offer this. The recycling, that's a contract we have with Miami-Dade County. We, for our residents, that's not ours. We don't have that with coastal. We only have solid waste, but it's just that they provide the same.
Coastal picks it up.
Right. But
Yeah.
for the
Okay.
county, we have to do that.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Free City has
Okay.
opt out already.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right, yeah, I will be diplomatic and calm and clear in my thoughts, but I would love to be part of those discussions.
You know, maybe with the first step, Councilperson Urban, I usually go every month to the commission meetings at the government center. I go every month. Maybe you should come with me
I'll
next
go there and
month or
get
something.
on the list and say, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I've spoken to, okay,
Yeah, maybe you should
I'm
come.
for
I'll
it.
let you know. I'll keep in touch with you.
Okay,
All right,
sounds great.
No problem.
And I do have a question. I think you said it at the beginning, Mr. Mayor, but just to clarify about the contingencies.
Yeah.
Budget adopted, 73,000, proposed 32,000.
Yeah, and that's what, those two things that came in. There's also part of a grant that came in that we got, critical facilities grant, and we have to pay a certain amount on it, and that should kick in like next year, and that also kind of came out of the contingencies. It wasn't too much, but that came out of contingencies also, so yeah, so that's the reason why.
On the same line item, I have a question about how we are able to bolster that. So any unused revenues from current fiscal year '24, are any of those unused revenues, like for example, we're talking about a machine budget that may not be used fully. Is anything like that that's left unused eligible to be put into the contingency budget of the next fiscal year?
I would say not necessarily, Councilperson. So I know what you're asking, and it's kind of weird. So not necessarily because of the things that have been coming in last minute in a way, first of all. Second of all, we're looking at some of those line items, like you guys were discussing before, to where we're still trying to project to keep it for next year. So that if we were to be like stringent, and we were to say, okay, you know, this year we only use 8,000 of the 12,000 or something like that. Let's take that 3,000, throw it in contingencies. This line item, let's take 2,000, throw it in contingencies. This line item we only use, let's take 4,000, throw it into contingencies. We could grow the contingencies tens of thousands of dollars just by doing that. Now that would only mean that next year, once those line items that we're projecting that will reach that point, once they get to that point or get past that point, we'll have to go into contingencies to pay. But then what will happen is when we're here next year, you guys are gonna be like, well, why the hell is this is 20% over? why is this one 50% over? Why is this one, y'all didn't even budget right? It's like, yeah, because we went right to the edge and threw everything else contingencies to make it look better. You see what I'm saying? So either way you do it, but this is the more, I think, like honest way to be like, I'd rather look at a lower contingencies so that I know in my mind, we don't have money to play with, and then leave the space and the cushion of anything budgeted in the line item so that we know it's there if we need it. So it's, you know, it's two ways to look at it.
Okay, and then from the, I think the CFO is gonna talk about it from an accounting perspective.
Yeah, and for an accounting perspective, I fully understand the attention to detail and trying to focus, you know, laser focus on the individual line item. But I go back to my original comment, you know, before, that we're trying to project an expense, you know, 12 months from now. All right, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint and say, okay, this number is going to be this, you know, unless you contract everything out, right? It's almost, I don't want to say pie in the sky, right? You have an idea, but you, again, so to me, I kind of look at it on a totality, rather, you know, focusing on the individual line item, but, you know, when you're looking at it, at your perspective, like you mentioned, I look at it more on a totality basis, because again, you're trying to project something that's 12 months out from now, which is almost, you know, hard to do sometimes.
Right, so I guess what I'm asking is from so the fiscal year that's ending, we're in the final month of the present fiscal year, right? So my ultimate question was if there's any, so as that budget is closed out, any surpluses, would those, what happens to those surpluses, I guess is really my question.
It's kind of use it or lose it. Sorry, I don't.
No, go ahead.
It's more so use it or lose it. Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago, I have to look at my notes, we were able to take some funds and increase the reserves, getting back to Council Lightfoot Ward's comment, question before. You know, there is a possibility to do that. I mean, we could try to do that, increase it and restrict it. It's gonna affect the current year's budget. Again, so on an individual line basis, it may work out, right? Let's earmark $10,000 more of unused expense. But in its totality, the numbers might not work. Just looking at the Public Works number, right? We budgeted $701,000. Year-to-date through July is, just using round numbers, 600,000, right? A 10-month run rate, that's $60,000 a month, right? So projected 720, right? Not ideal, right? Well, hopefully it won't get that high. But to my point, right, in a totality, right, we're not there, you know, where we want to be as far as being able to earmark certain line items for future, you know, future use.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It helps to.
Okay, were you able to locate the $4,000 from other services, or I thought you were looking for it all.
I'm sorry, I was
later.
looking for it. I don't have my notes with me. So I apologize.
Okay. No
But
problem.
I did look at my notes, and it was as I thought, it was for the handyman service.
Handyman,
Yeah.
okay.
So Jorge, who you've met many times, Vice Mayor Perella, when you come here, when I'm here, he's usually walking around really quiet, with glasses on. He's fixing all type of stuff. Helped out real big with the bathroom. You've seen him because you've been here when I've been. Yeah, you just didn't know who he was. Yeah.
Okay, and I have another question on these operating supplies. It was budgeted for $3,500, year to date is $8,200, and budgeted again for next year, $3,500. So is that an unexpected expense, manager?
I have to look at my notes, but I believe we filled that position at the beginning of the fiscal year. So there was, you know, a lot of startup costs, like we'll call it, of getting him situated and ready in the office. So now that he's in place, I don't think that we should
Right.
incur those expenses.
It's to get the department in a place where he could work and do some things himself. So it would be like the organization that's in the Public Works closet here. It's to get the office in a state where he could work. So it was for that. And those are expenses we aren't expecting to have to pay again next year.
Okay.
So that's why, it was just to get the department set up.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Public Works? Say your name and address for the record. Floor is yours.
Good evening. My name is Warner Dreyer, 486 Northeast 87th Street. So I'm looking here at the Public Works and just want to find out which of the line items are we considering for road repairs, such as potholes, resurfacing. I know we have the CITT monies, so I want to see definitely here, at least in the Sherwood Forest area, you know, repavement or wherever we need, no? So we just want to find out how much money do we have for the upcoming fiscal year? And if you can tell me that, please.
Yeah. So CITT is on page 14?
Also, we have to wait for,
Yeah, so I'm going page by page.
okay,
So-
it's not part of the Public Works,
No, the
the
budget,
road
no.
stuff?
No.
Okay.
The stuff that we use for CITT funds, we have this, it comes out the CITT on the
Okay.
page, so we'll.
So, okay.
But I heard your question, so like, we'll just
Yeah.
get an answer when we get to 14.
Awesome, okay,
All right?
thanks.
If I can add, CITT funds are restricted funds and have to be used specifically for transportation and transit. So it's its own special fund. So all the revenue and expenses are recorded separately from the general fund. What we're reviewing right now is the general fund.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to my question then, where would we get the monies for like the road repair? Just to clarify your statement, are we getting the monies from the CITT or somewhere else then? The like potholes and road repairs, I just wanna make sure how much money we have for the upcoming fiscal year for road repairs. I'm not sure if you've driven around our village, you know, we have some, you know, maintenance on our road work, so it's important that we, at least the residents, know where we're putting that budget.
Let me jump in before you jump in. So in CITT, there's two different, like categories in CITT. One's for like transportation and stuff like that, but one you can use for road repair and things like that, and road. So what we're doing is, and I understand what you're saying, councilperson, or councilperson, or I'm just saying, Mr. Dreyer, you're the former councilperson Dreyer. Yeah, what we're doing, and so the problem is a lot of times with road work, in a way, potholes are even better than smaller dents in the road, because smaller dents in the road takes the full road repair. That is a little bit more expensive than filling potholes. So we're trying to get all, you know, if I had my wish, I'd do all Sherwood Forest, you know what I mean? But that takes a lot of road repair. Like, for example, Manager Alou and I, we did, there's certain parts of Sherwood Forest, like if you walk down past the Native American burial mound in front of Adam Simon's house, if you walk over there now, there's a whole area that was just eroded and messed up, and now it's all filled in, and he's thankful and things like that. And there's other little parts, but when you walk through Sherwood Forest and the roads are just so bad, and they're kind of like little indentions, like it's like, you know, this deep and this deep. For that, we have to do that entire road, and it's just so much more costly. So that's what's taking a longer time for something like that. As far as CITT, CFO Taubenfeld, the revenue that we have, what's available in CITT, I think that's what he's asking, more or
So
less.
I'm being very explicit. I want to find out how much money do we have for the upcoming road repairs?
$91,000 in
Where is that?
CITT money. $91,000 projected, right, I guess? On line, page 14.
Yeah, I'm looking at four.
Uh-huh.
There's two.
CITT, surtax revenue transportation, 91,000.
I'm sorry, I see here, okay, 91,000.
Yeah,
Okay,
91,000.
so are we saying that we have 91,000 for upcoming pothole refills and potential resurfacing of roads?
So what I'll answer it this way. So total CTT funds is $113,750 as it shows on the budget. 80-20 split. You get the 91,022. That's how you get to the 91,000 and the 22,750. Utilities eat a portion of each one of those line items, and then you're left with the $77,750. So to answer your question, right now that's the amount that's being allocated for transportation. And I guess I'll leave that to the manager. She can
Yeah,
discuss
like
it in
this
greater
year-
detail,
I'd
but.
like to add too that we did a road survey that comes from that as well.
And the
So
signage,
transport-
right, for the
Yes.
traffic study also
Yes,
came from the
exactly.
CITT
So
money.
it's not just for road
Right.
repair, it's for transportation. And that means road repair, the traffic study, the road diet, all of the projects that we have going on now. So this is what we are using
Okay.
for that.
So as a resident, great that we have all this surveys out there, all these projects, but I'm more focused, again, I'm being very explicit on how much do we, I see the total bucket, right? It falls into many different sub-umbrella projects, but how much money do we have explicitly for road repairs, explicitly, right? Do we have that breakdown at this time? If not, are we prepared?
We don't have that information at this time.
Okay, so if I come here and say, maybe in 6 months, hey, council, madam manager, we have some potholes out there, some resurfacing, can we use some of the money right now? Because, you know, I don't wanna.
Can I answer?
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have, we do an annual pothole repair.
Okay,
We just contracted,
Just,
based on something that happened over on the west side, so the total, contract is it was $4,700 for the pothole repair. So that's gonna happen with these fiscal year funds. So for next fiscal year, depending on what that inventory is gonna be, then we'll fix potholes, but we can't do road repair
Yes, it's
because we
too-
can't afford it. The
yeah.
91,000
It won't
won't be
cover
enough
road
money.
repair.
But we can do certain projects. We'll try for that. We've had them priced out, and we'll continue to do that and fix where we can.
Yeah. Like, we're fixing potholes coming up in the next, like, week
Right, in
or
the
so.
next few, right,
Yeah,
we're just
next
waiting
couple
for,
of weeks.
because they couldn't start the repair
Yeah.
for the ones that were on the inventory because
Exactly.
of the rain.
Exactly. But that's what I was trying to explain, the problem with Sherwood Forest, and that's why I said it was really big, and we really did a lot to even fill that whole space where Adam Simon's house was, that he had been complaining about. But the problem with Sherwood Forest is that the indentions are not that large, and that's not potholes. And they won't come to fill like a 1 inch or 2 inch indention. They won't do that. They consider that road repair. And we just don't have the money to cover road repair, because you're talking about, you know, putting a whole new black road in, and it just can't be that little area because it's not large enough. It's not considered a pothole, and it's just a bad dilemma that we're dealing with. So that's
but we have money to
That's the
do
problem.
surveys.
to do the traffic survey. The traffic study?
Yeah,
Yeah, we-
other priorities. Is it a matter of prioritization, or is it just a matter
No,
of it's too expensive for us?
So when we priced out, when we looked at everything, when I came in, we priced out everything road repairs, and we looked at all the different road repairs, and then first we went to them, we're like, look, we need to fill these spaces. That's how we kind of came to them. And then we looked at the companies, and there was more than one company. They were like, because we first started out with 3 companies, we had to do the 3 companies, we picked the one we choose. But they started off with, those are potholes, all 3 companies said, those are potholes we can do the road repair, but that costs this. And there was hundreds of that, and we were like, well, Jesus Christ, we can't.
Just a little part by the Sherwood Forest Park, which is mostly drive-through. It's not, you know, it's just that they had already made a pothole on the sand, not even the road. And just to repair that was like $24,000 or something like that. It's, you know, it's, like I said, with the budget we had, and remember, we weren't having, you don't have much funds in the CITT money because we weren't getting those funds because of audits and whatever that was backlogged with that. So the money that we've had coming in to the ITT money, we have done like, this is the second round of pothole,
No,
third time, right? The third
no, it's
round.
about the third. This is our
Third time, we
third year.
fixed a few on, you know, on the west side and coming here to the, you know, doing some on the east side. But again, it's like Mayor Nickerson said, just to repair the corroded roads, which are, you know, like 2-inch indentions that had, you know, come off through the years. Those roads, you have to do like the whole block. And then it's thousands of dollars, you know.
And how much
so-
is one block? Do
Yeah,
we
that's
have
just
any?
one I think we
21?
had, I don't know, from years ago, we had a whole resurfacing, road repair, and it was over $20 million,
$20 million.
or something like that, if I'm not, don't quote me on that, but it was something like that.
For just one block?
For the whole community.
Okay. For the
Remember
whole
when you guys
community.
were doing the septic to sewer project with
That's right.
Panoni?
It was
That was
26
also
million.
part of the, project with the resurfacing of the roads, for what I understand. And, so it's
The
costly.
whole project was $2 million for
Right.
the septic to sewer, but.
No,
I'm
the
kinda surprised
road
why you're
resurfacing.
saying $2 million for the whole resurfacing.
Of the
But
whole
it-
village. I
yeah,
think it's
but-
available. I don't know if, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
for potholes, we're gonna keep moving on that, and I've been on top of that, actually. Unfortunately, you have to be driving around. I'm not the one driving around all the time to, we have Public Works, doing that. But yeah, we just have a list now about 7 locations that's been identified to do that. Like, I understand this road over here, the bricks are coming off, few times. They're recently repaired as well, Northeast Third, I think. So, but I don't know about the funds that we had available for, potholes. I don't know what that is right now. It reflects, $77,000. But for sure, we're gonna have, some repairs done with whatever money it's available there. If that answers some of your questions,
No,
it's like.
no, at least for the potholes, I'm sorry, go ahead, Christian, Madam Manager.
I was also going to say that, sometimes priorities come up, such as we were having, speeding has been a big issue in the village for years. We had to do a traffic study, so these things were priorities too. And then we got the speed limit lowered. And so that was a big project from this council to have this lowering of the
speeding.
speed limit, to put the signs up. And so that was accomplished through these funds as well.
No,
So
that's-
it's not a lot of money that we're working with, but we're trying to maximize our effects for the use. And so the potholes at this point are what we can do. And we do have enough, I did take the proposal over to our CFO to ensure we had enough funding to get the potholes for this year done. And we
Agree. No, that's the concern, definitely, if you guys can allocate just for this upcoming fiscal year, some monies for the potholes. That's great.
Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
we definitely should continue the whatever
Yeah.
road repair we can afford each year. So we did this again this year. We've done it for the last 2 years, and we'll continue.
And
Thank
it-
you, thank you.
I'd also
Definitely.
like to comment, if you don't mind. I used to be a part of the CITT.
Yes.
I highly recommend you go to some of their meetings. You'd be surprised the impact that what you're saying right now hit them in the face. They're going to look at us differently. There
Let's-
was a time.
Yeah, let's go, you and I. Tell me when the next meeting is. I'll go with
I'm
you.
not there anymore. I can't do 2 of them at the
How do
same
we
time.
find out about the meetings?
You simply call the CITT.
Oh, you're gonna give me the number then?
All
I'll
I'm
call
gonna,
them.
I don't have it now, okay, but
Yeah.
here's my card, okay? You
No,
can call
I-
me.
I have your
We'll get-
number.
All right, very good. And really, it's an organization that most people, like yourself, they've never even seen how we work. And it's all it is about the money.
Yeah.
Where we gonna put it the next time. So I'd be pleased to have you come back one day and tell us what
But
you're.
it will be good, we
Yeah.
go with our representatives. That's
Yeah.
why we, the
village.
the voters elect representatives
That's right.
to represent us in those meetings at the CITT. So if you're the person who used to go, I would definitely
was
would like
part of
to
it.
understand who's the person who's going to the
I was
CITT meetings.
part of it. I was
Yeah.
part of the 16 membership, yeah.
I would
It's-
definitely make myself available if whoever the person is from the council who attends these meetings, I will definitely make myself, but I don't know if there's such a person right now in the council.
Well, I know who they are. They
Because
know
that's-
who I am. Been
Yeah.
there, I was there a
Because
long
that's why
time.
we elect our representatives to
Exactly.
represent us at those meetings, not the representative tell us to go to that meeting
Yeah.
and tell them they're gonna be, where's your representative? So I just wanna make sure that I have that understanding here.
Protocol is always interesting.
Yeah,
Thank you.
but I don't have an answer.
It's all right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, appreciate it. Anybody else with Public Works, or are you moving on to Building Department revenue, you guys? Oh, do you wanna, yeah, I think you wanted to say something quickly about the street repair.
Charles Winters, 377 Northeast 85th. So, sir, a few weeks ago, what was
Mr.
his
Dreyer,
name? Andrea?
Mr. Dreyer.
Mr. Dreyer. A few weeks ago, I came to the council and I brought pictures of all of the roads in Sherwood Forest. And I showed them the damage that was done to the house. And right after that, I also showed them the notice I got from our own code enforcement citing my driveway, which was the exact same condition as the road in front of the house. I went to engineers and actually I found there's new technology. It's called permapatch. You basically, you pour it in between those little layers and when you drive over it, it doesn't stick to the tires and it automatically creates a new road. You do not need to pay $100,000 to fix the road. I did my entire driveway for $28. It's amazing technology, and you guys can budget for this.
That's PERMA?
Permapatch, yeah.
So maybe we should, so she's writing it down right now, the manager's writing it
Yeah.
down, so we can
All-
ask the individuals that we use, because we do have somebody that won the contract off the 3 bids, right? So that's the individual who won the contract, so we have to use them. We can ask them if they know about that and if they use that. So,
Yeah.
okay?
All right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Winters, appreciate it. All right. So you guys ready to move the building department? All right, building department, check it out. Talk to me.
I'm just curious why we are keeping it the same projection of 233,500 when we exceeded that this year.
Again, just forecasting what the year's gonna be. We know that it's pretty much zero neutral, right? So whatever we budget,
Doesn't matter really.
it doesn't matter, it's gonna be expensed out anyway for the most part.
Yeah, that's the building that's paid for. So this year, it might be the same, but it pays for itself. But this year, it's been active. You see our P&Z meetings, how many people we have in our P&Z meetings. And the one that's coming up in October is gonna be even more.
Okay, now I'm
And-
remembering the contract discussions with CapGov
Yeah.
regarding how all this, okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
That's what
All
that
right.
is. Yeah, yeah.
I'm caught back up
We
again.
just- we-
All
We're in
right.
an active year right now, so. we're
Okay,
good.
very good.
Yes. Any other questions or comments for this budget page, building department? Okay, hearing, seeing none. What about transportation fund? Any questions or comments?
Transferred in, the $19,800 transferred in, what is that?
That would come from the reserve, from this transportation fund.
Werner Dreyer, 486 Northeast 87th Street. On that note, that there's a CITT meeting, Mayor, if definitely, if you need the residents out there,
Appreciate it.
the voice out there, whoever, I'm not sure, do we have because she brings a good idea, right?
Yeah.
Maybe showing our faces there. I'll go, but definitely, we need somebody, I would, partner up with maybe the manager or one of you or the
Yeah.
council, so we can get our voices out there and, maybe bring such ideas such as,
Yeah.
I forgot your name.
Hopefully, no, I
Winters idea and see what's out there, new technology and, definitely.
I agree. I'm down for whatever. I don't want to step on anybody's shoes. I think that, if Councilperson Lightfoot Ward was there and she knows the people there, and she discussed with me recently, called me about going places more, I think she'd be the perfect one there since she knows the people, she knows the players, she knows the names, they're familiar with her, she knows the ins and outs, so.
Sorry, I'm online here, and it looks like the CITT is having their budget hearing.
But I guess
this
one of us
month.
will get back with you. Thank you very much, Mr. Dre.
I'll go, I'll make we'll go.
No, we'll go. Councilperson Urban, go ahead. Councilperson Urban, I think you were saying?
No, I was just saying I found their schedule, the CITT's meeting schedule,
Okay.
online with a pretty quick search. I think I searched CITT Miami-Dade schedule 2024, and it popped up like in pretty short order. I do have one final question on on this page number 13. So that is for tree trimming. We budgeted 30, we spent 67. I take no issue with that. I do believe that these patterns we've seen in years past, recent years, I'm sorry, of like just increased rainfall. I mean, everything, we're getting a lot more rain, it seems. And so I would think that the tree trimming budget might need to stay up around 67 where we spent this year. I'm just curious if anybody's thoughts on that.
No, I hear you, Councilperson Irvine. You make a great point. I think that 50 for now, I think 50 is a good starting point. The reason why it is what it is right now, year to date, is because the storms that we had, and because of the storms that we had, especially on the west side, we get a lot of trees that fall over there. And so those are things that that are unbudgeted. But they have to come out and they have to clear the road and they have to, whatever with the trees. And so that's why it is what it is. I guess Councilperson Urban, we're trying to be positive for next year.
Yeah.
and kind of send out positive vibes that we're not going to have the same type of year we had this year, next year.
Well, I'm gonna knock on wood because
as far as trees falling down, as far as how much we have to spend, things like that. So.
it's just an incredibly valuable service. It goes towards mitigation
Absolutely.
of any issues in the event of any type of a storm. So
I would just add that, if you look at the top line, you see there's not enough revenue to support the expense to begin with, right?
Okay.
So any line, any number, you want to increase it, sure, we can increase it. We'll just have to bring it in from the reserves
Gotcha.
to offset it.
okay, fair enough.
Assuming that we hit that expense.
Yeah.
And I'd like to add too that the village has seen an unprecedented amount of large trees coming
Large
down
trees,
over
yeah.
this past year. 18 months to the last 12 months. It's been amazing. And just, on Friday night, we had the tree come down on 87th Street, which, these are big, trees. We're not expecting this. This goes beyond our, our usual little tree trimming and maintenance from time to time. And so those are emergency situations where we have to call out the arborist and have that removed as quickly as, as possible.
And like I said, with after hours, so
Yes, a lot of
myself and
after hours
manager Lou
weekends.
were running around
And
trying
so
to do that.
we're addressing that. We also didn't do the planting this last year due to a contractor's failure from the county side. And so, we really need to look at how we can make our trees more sustainable because they're growing, but we don't want to lose them. So we'll continue to look at that. And I'm hopeful that we can address the planting. Actually, we've talked to Mr. Rubio as well as Juan from La Serbia about the way the trees need to be planted moving forward in the swales, because that could help with the whole drainage, but also ensuring they don't, get top heavy and then fall down like they've been doing.
All right, anybody else for this particular page? Tree trimming? You want questions about tree trimming? Come on.
Charles Winters, 377 Northeast 85th Street. So I'm the lucky person in El Portal that's had 2 trees fall on their house. I've had to have one removed because it was hollow 6 feet into the ground. There's a wonderful video on YouTube about this tree that was basically going to kill someone in the next sneeze. I had an arborist come out to my house this week because I had half of a tree fall over this last week or 2 weeks ago. Big trunk, maybe 85 feet long. So the tree kind of like split. And so the arborist came out to my house and he told me that most of the trees I have in my house are basically so paper thin that they're going to be falling, especially the one that just fell over. So I said, well, they're the same thickness as the ones on the mound because I'm in front of the mound. He says, well, look at that mound. See, there's nothing supporting that tree. That's going to fall over in the next sneeze too. Basically, he pointed out about 5 or 6 trees on the mound that are basically dying. And I know my arborist is different from your arborist, but he says that once we start losing one tree, the other trees that are blocking it, that tree was blocking from another one, they're just going to start making room and they'll just start falling like crazy. And we have a lot of sick trees in El Portal, and especially in Sherwood Forest, and a lot of termites. all these trees are just riddled with them. And I know you guys have it in the budget for a little bit more for the tree trimming, but I'm letting you know that sometime in the next few years, you're gonna see a lot of trees coming down because you're gonna stop having blockages from hurricanes.
So, Manager Lou, and myself, we'll have the arborists go out there and look at the trees, you know, so that we can, because safety is the number one issue. Now, what I will say is, you know, I might need your help to talk to your neighbors for me, because the last time we brought down a sick tree, the people in Sherwood Forest wanted me to they tried to run me out of town with torches. I had to hold, a lot of people just don't know what's going on. I had to hold 4 different meetings here in Village Hall, 4 different town halls on Sunday afternoons with the same exact residents in Sherwood Forest for all 4 different times. It was 1 month, 4 meetings every Sunday here in Sherwood, here in Village Hall. Clerk Jacoby knows. With these residents, and every meeting, and I understand, you know, emotions.
I was there.
Yeah, you were there. They were upset, but yeah, it was just the tree was sick. So if we bring down any of those trees, Mr. Winters, they're gonna try to chase me down.
I
Biscayne with a
remember.
torch. You gotta help me out.
I was the only one there trying to
You were
explain.
trying to explain. Yes, you were trying to
These are
explain.
danger. If you have someone die because of a tree, we're gonna have more publicity about someone dying because of a tree
So-
not being maintained than one being brought down
Yeah.
because it was not maintained properly.
Yeah. So.
That's something for the attorney to talk about.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Winters. All right, you guys, are we good here on the transportation page? We can go to the next page, CITT. We kind of went over CITT. I don't know if there's any extra questions about CITT. Go ahead, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
I just said, I'm just glad we're still getting the money, because, I mean, they got the money. I'm just glad we're still getting it. Shucks.
Yeah, there's a lot, you know, I'm not even gonna say nothing. Well, hell, I'm gonna say something. You know, there's a lot that we're still fixing, you guys. We don't have to go too deep into the woods on this, but you know, we always keep a smile on our face, Madam Manager, and we're always positive about things. But CFO Tomenfield, we're not exactly up to getting the 100% of the funds that we're supposed to get. You don't have to go too much in detail, but we're just, but understand that under the last CFO, before CFO Tomenfield, and how we were left from the last administration, and like how we were left or whatever. I mean, almost my first, what would you say, Harry? Almost my first couple years, maybe, I was getting those letters. I still have them. I kept them. I could look at them sometimes. I was getting those letters every month that was saying that the state wasn't sending us the money because of the audits and stuff. They just weren't. So you know how we were talking about earlier, how we only get a small percentage and the rest goes to like other places. So the state was like, for years, and so now, I asked Harry to speak, but I'm doing all the speaking now. I'm summing up, Harry. So now what we're trying to do, and this is another thing, you guys, where I say behind the scenes, we're trying to do so much. Now we're trying to retroactively get the money that we missed all those years. So we've been working on a budget, not even a full budget by far. We've been missing money, and so we're still able to do these things and do the new police department and do this. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people just don't understand what, you know, the manager does, what I do, and what things like that on a daily basis, just what we work with and how we like just pull magic out of the air. Yeah, we're really down, and we're trying to get those funds back from the years we missed because our audits were all messed up when I first came in. So you don't got to say anything, Harry. I got it. Anyway, so we were good with CITT funds. So we can go to storm. Storm revenue was next, right? Storm fund revenue. Any questions on this, Harry, Christie? Okay. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward?
I said, I think you can move on.
I think we can. Let's flip over Parks and Rec. Fund revenue. The last Cavista check came recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the 30, the 366?
Yes.
366 on the,
Okay, so those funds are completed?
For the first
the-
project, the first Cavista project, for the first project. We're
Madam
talking about the
Manager,
last
yes,
funds that came in from the first
from the-
Cavista
from the
project.
The
Developer's
funds
fee,
This
right.
last fee
The
that came in?
last fee.
Yes, we got that last week, and it was
66?
366.66.
Yes. That was the final payment from.
The final
Cavista.
payment.
Yes.
So, the total fund was gonna be what, 1.1?
Yes, but
And
remember,
so
we
we
did.
transferred 300, was it 350?
250.
250. Okay, and so where's the rest of the money?
The money currently is sitting in the bank.
Mhm.
So what I was just, so what you see here in the budget is there's over $800,000 sitting in the bank.
Okay,
So think of that as that being the reserve, right?
okay, got it.
Yeah. So,
For that.
yeah, for that.
Specifically for that use.
Okay.
Sorry.
you're talking about for Parks and
For
Recreation.
parts and, yeah, for the.
So let me
benefit, the trust.
All right, so let me explain real quick. You guys. Okay, so, and this is another thing, kind of what I was explaining before, when it comes to government budgets, unfortunately, you can't offset. Like, you can't, like, there's a revenue side and then there's a budget side. So even though, like, when you look at public affairs, that was for my State of the Village, you see there's some, like, $20,000 there or something like that. But I brought in more in sponsorships. But you can't offset it. It just doesn't work like that in the budget or whatever. So yeah, so the 800,000 or whatever sitting in on the revenue side, but it's two things with that. It's on the revenue side, and it's for specifically like green space reuse or whatever. That's for that. Now, I'm not gonna put the cart before the horse. Now, there's another project coming in that we've negotiated for that, but we're doing that. We're not going to hold that money down for only green space reuse because we're, like, for example, Mr. Warner Dreyer, former councilperson Dreyer. If we had that money, maybe we could do something with street repair. But because it's loaded for only green space reuse, it's just sitting there, right? But we are going to be doing some park renovation and things like that. We're going to give the kids a new tot lot and stuff like that, so that's going to be going there. But myself and Manager Lou, we work really, really hard for this Riverfront restaurant and the Riverfront property that's coming up, that it's not restricted like that, so we can do things for the community. I mean, and this is just another thing, and you know, I know that, you know, I don't say these things too much, but this is just another example and another detail on how we're really making lemonade out of lemons. Like where we have this $800,000, we can't touch it for anything. Where we have the state not giving us our money for over 2 years, but we're still able to do these things and put this up and do this and make this look nice and fill this and do this. And we're just, I mean, if we were able to have all the money we were supposed to get and be able to have access to all the money, like, this place would be beyond, you know. So, but we're doing what we can.
May I add to that,
Absolutely.
Mayor Nickerson? We have not finished working on the developers agreement for the launch, so we don't know how it will be restricted, if it will be, but it is our goal to not have it restricted.
We're
so
working
that we can
hard,
use-
though.
Right, but
Yeah.
it has not been fully negotiated or finalized, so we don't know just yet, but it's our hope that we can have a use for those funds that would benefit the village
Yeah.
for the long list of things we need.
So, they're going through a lot of paperwork. That being said, is there anything else for Parks and Rec, you guys? All right, Councilperson Dreyer, former Councilperson Dreyer, come up in with your list of items.
My name is Warner Dreyer, 486 Northeast 87th Street. So just wanted to get a quick update on the FEMA, right? What's the outstanding loan? And then I'm looking from there if we can, I know every year we have renewal on the loan, right, which is a variable interest only. It's been open since 2018, I think, or 2019, and wanted to see if we could somehow budget some percentage of the outstanding balance of that loan, maybe to start contributing, if we haven't started contributing to the actual principal, right? Just to start, at a point.
Yeah, so to answer your question, it's actually happening as we speak. The new agreement that was signed last year, let me back up a little second. So in 2023, right around the time the new agreement was put in place, we did receive additional funding from FEMA, which reduced the loan balance, which in turn reduced our monthly payment from, I think, approximately was $3,300 to what's now $2,600 or $2,800. And we are shaving roughly $2,000 a month off the principal with each payment.
So what's the outstanding balance right now? Sorry.
Thank you. The outstanding balance as of June 30th was $136,000.
Okay, so we received about, because last time I heard the outstanding balance was about 700K. So did receive about 500K from FEMA?
Approximately 450,000 from FEMA, and the rest is a reduction on principal with all the payments that we've made.
Okay, so that's great news then. Yeah. And do we expect any upcoming payments from FEMA?
Unfortunately not. Everything that, to my knowledge, has been closed out.
Okay.
But we do have in the budget, obviously, the note, so to $30,000 a year is allocated. I'm sorry, $30,000 a year is allocated
But-
for payment of the note.
But that's just on the interest only, right?
No, principal and interest.
Oh, principal. So it's changed the term since, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
After the audits were done,
After the
we were
audits
able
done.
to get a regular loan.
Oh, so it's a regular loan, okay.
Yes.
And how long is that loan for?
5 years.
5 years for that 130?
Yeah, so we're paying it down, again,
Gotcha.
it's $2,600 a month roughly, 2,000 going towards principal.
Gotcha. No, that's great. That's great to hear because that was one of my main concerns, that we were just paying the interest only, so.
No, luckily we were able to change that with the additional funding, and also, with the strength of, the finances here, becoming a little bit stronger year after year.
Great, all right. Great, thanks for that, yeah.
Thank you very much, former Councilperson Dre, I appreciate you. And we'll be in touch about that CITT stuff. Yeah, for sure, 100%. Appreciate that. Any last questions or comments from the council or the audience? Yes,
Hi.
yes. All right, take care, Dre.
Yes, I actually need the turnaround for the budget with the updates tomorrow, because I need to send it out tomorrow because we have a meeting on Monday. So the deadline for the budget updates is tomorrow. Sorry, it's short notice, but it is what it is.
No problem.
Yeah, we
Thanks.
only have a couple changes. I have them here, Harry, I'll give you mine.
Perfect.
All right. Okay, any other questions or comments from the council or the audience? Hearing or seeing none. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Okay, go ahead. Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Before we adjourn, I need to let everyone know that, those of you that know that I had surgery on my shoulder a couple of years ago, I am going back into surgery in mid-September. It's going to be a 4-hour operation to restore my left shoulder. I make this announcement because if I don't, I'll forget. Because it's a serious operation. I didn't realize how much, but it's not because of the operation, it's because of my age and how I responded last time. So those of you that know the words of prayer, we're going into major surgery this mid-month, and I would appreciate it very much.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you very much, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Any other last questions or comments for the council? Yes. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
You do.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, second by Vice Mayor Perrella. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing none. The budget workshop for fiscal year 2024, 2025 is, for 2024, 2025, for Tuesday, 8:52, is it 8:52? Okay, is adjourned at 8:53 p.m.